A cat crosses your path on the street. You don't know this cat, you've never spoken to it. Zero history, zero connection. And yet something ancient stirs inside you. Your hand lifts on its own. Your brain fires one message: pet that animal. Before your rational mind catches up, you're crouched on the sidewalk cooing, "Hey there, sweetie," to a stranger's cat like it's the most ordinary thing in the world. And here's the strange part. It kind of is. This isn't a cat-people thing. It's cross-cultural, deeply wired, almost comically universal. We reach for cats, dogs, bunnies, goats, baby elephants. Nobody trains us to do this. Almost nobody has properly explained why. Until now. Maybe it's just that animals look cute, except it's not that simple. When you see a creature with oversized eyes, a tiny nose, round cheeks, and a forehead too big for its face, your brain doesn't just feel awe. It drops into a precise neurological state researchers have studied for decades. The idea came from Austrian researcher Konrad Lorenz in the 1940s. He called it Kindchen schema, baby schema. His theory, specific traits, rounded face, big eyes, small jaw, clumsy movement, evolved in human infants to hijack the adult brain into wanting to protect them. Evolution built a trigger into your brain and disguised it as a baby. What Lorenz noticed, decades before we had the tools to prove it, was that those same traits trigger identical responses toward completely unrelated species. Your brain doesn't check what species is in front of you. It sees the proportions, and the caregiving system switches on. Suddenly, you feel parental instinct toward an animal you met 9 seconds ago outside a coffee shop. Decades later, researchers put people in brain scanners and showed them baby animal photos. He was right. Specific regions light up. Reward pathways, areas tied to emotional weight and motivation. Looking at something adorable isn't passive. It's an active neurological event. And all of that happens before you've even made contact, because touch adds a whole separate layer. Human touch is far more complex than people assume. We treat it as one sense, but it's several overlapping systems. Your skin holds different receptors tuned to pressure, vibration, texture, temperature. One type, studied closely in recent years, is called C-tactile afferents. These fibers respond almost exclusively to slow, gentle stroking, motion around 1 to 10 centimeters per second. When triggered, they send signals not just to the brain region mapping physical sensation, but to areas tied to emotion and bonding. They exist to make gentle touch feel significant, not just felt. Running your palm slowly across fur activates these fibers almost perfectly. It's as if fur evolved specifically to plug into this exact system. This is where oxytocin enters, the bonding hormone, though researchers find that label too simple given everything it actually does. It releases during warm contact, hugging someone you love, holding an infant. Studies confirm a few minutes of petting a dog measurably raises oxytocin in human blood. Here's the part that feels almost too sweet to be real. The dog's oxytocin spikes too, simultaneously. You lock eyes with an animal, pet it, and both of you experience the exact chemical bond linking parents to children. You walked up to a stranger's dog and accidentally fell a little in love with it. So did the dog. That's not sentiment. That's biology doing exactly what it evolved to do. But why softness specifically? Why fur, not asphalt? Part of the answer is early sensory memory. As infants, we spend enormous stretches of life surrounded by warmth and softness. That link between softness and safety gets encoded before language or conscious memory even exist. It becomes a baseline. Soft equals safe. That wiring stays for life, mostly invisible to conscious thought. Then there's temperature. Fur is warm, and warmth signals something deep in the nervous system. This thing is alive. Touch something warm and slightly yielding, and your stress markers measurably shift. Heart rate eases. Cortisol begins falling. Your body isn't choosing to relax. It recognized warmth and concluded it's safe. And there's sound. Cat purring has been researched extensively. And the closer scientists look, the stranger it gets. The sound comes from rapid contraction of the laryngeal muscles, vibrating the voice box dozens of times per second on both inhale and exhale. Domestic cat purrs typically range between 25 and 150 Hz, clustering most often between 25 and 50. Here's where it turns genuinely odd. Frequencies in that exact range have shown in clinical research the ability to support bone healing, reduce inflammation, and speed soft tissue recovery. There are physical therapy devices built to deliver vibration at these exact frequencies. So, when a cat purrs on your chest, you're being gently vibrated at frequencies that may actively support healing in your body. Cats wander around being accidental therapists while ignoring you completely. We still can't resist them. Now, the compulsive part, maybe the most fascinating piece. It's not just that touching animals feels nice. The strange thing is how nearly impossible the impulse is to override. You know you should ask before petting someone's dog. You do it anyway. Part of this is approach motivation. When your brain flags something as rewarding, it generates a pull toward that thing before conscious thought gets involved. You're not deciding to pet the dog. Your motor system already started moving. Your conscious mind is catching up to something your body initiated on its own. Then there's cute aggression, that overwhelming urge towards something almost unbearably adorable, wanting to squeeze it, saying, "I will destroy you," to a kitten you'd never harm. Researchers at Yale studied this seriously and found it isn't random. It looks like a regulatory mechanism. When something generates more positive emotion than your system can comfortably process, your brain produces a counterbalancing impulse to even things out. That urge to squish a puppy's face is your nervous system managing an overload of joy. Is any of this exclusive to humans? Turns out, not really. Capuchin monkeys have been filmed carefully handling small animals. Bonobos engage in what looks like cross-species socializing. Great apes in captivity form tactile bonds with animals they live alongside, not just other primates, but dogs, cats, birds. Coco, the gorilla famously taught sign language, kept pet cats for years. She requested them by name. When one of her cats died, she signed something researchers interpreted as grief. A gorilla mourning a small house cat because the bond was completely real to her. If you want to understand how deep this goes, look at coevolution. The bond between humans and dogs is the product of roughly 15 to 40,000 years of mutual adaptation. We've lived beside dogs, slept near them, touched them for so long that we've changed each other biologically. Dogs read human social cues in ways their closest wild relatives don't. Not even wolves raised by humans from birth. Dogs follow pointing gestures instinctively. Dogs track human eye movement. That eye contact triggers the same oxytocin loop already mentioned. Here's the detail that almost feels too perfect. Dogs developed a facial muscle, the levator anguli oculi medialis, that's missing or barely present in wolves. This muscle creates the inner brow lift, the puppy dog eyes look. Dogs evolved an actual anatomical structure purely to produce that expression. It's the result of thousands of years of selection favoring dogs better at emotionally pulling humans toward them. Dogs weren't passively domesticated. They participated. We didn't just domesticate dogs, we shaped each other. What matters most is what happens when touch is taken away. Touch deprivation is a documented, measurable stressor. During isolation, people with pets consistently show better mental health, lower cortisol, reduced depression and anxiety compared to people without. Researchers checked whether this was about companionship in the abstract or physical contact specifically, and evidence points to touch itself mattering. In hospitals, animal-assisted therapy measurably reduces pain perception and lowers anxiety before procedures. Therapy animals in schools lower stress in children during high-pressure moments. The timeline is fast. 10 to 15 minutes of contact with an animal produces statistically significant shifts in cortisol and oxytocin. Your nervous system knows exactly what it needs. We need this more than we admit. We treat the urge to touch animals like a charming quirk, but it points to something far older. Touch is how mammals signal safety to each other. It's one of our oldest tools for regulating each other's nervous systems, a wordless way of saying, I see you, I'm here, you're safe. For most of human history, we lived in constant physical closeness with animals. The distance we now consider normal is, on an evolutionary timescale, shockingly recent. Our nervous systems haven't caught up. They're still expecting to be near something warm and alive regularly. You were never going to walk past that animal without touching it. The only real question was how long you'd manage to resist.